Hello Reborn family, my name is Karen and this is Making Reborn Dolls with Karen. Um, Today we're going to be working on Paisley and she is going to be a cute little baby. But I have a few things to do before we get started on her, and one is I'm going to do something else to my table. I discovered that now that I have this non-slip mat, the paper towels will stay in place. They don't even move at all. Look at that. They're not moving at all. They don't scoot up or down or anything. So now I can put some paper towels on my table and not have the problem of slippage. I hate it when they slip. I just don't feel comfortable laying my limbs and stuff on this silicone mat. Oh, that is so awesome. Look at that. Now, okay, so we can lay her down like this now, and I don't feel like maybe her sticking to the mat or something, or it will pull the paint off or anything like that. So, and if I spill a little paint, that'll soak it up. Okay, so I wanted to show y'all my butterflies. I bought this little pack of butterflies. It's not actually a little pack, it's a big pack. And I am such a butterfly fan. And I have been ever since I was a little bitty child. I've always loved butterflies, and monarchs are my favorite, and that's what these look like to me, are monarchs. And when I was a little girl, I was fascinated by butterflies. I just couldn't look at them enough. You used to could buy these little butterflies, well, their wings were actually feathers. I could tell they weren't real butterflies, but I remember in kindergarten, there was this little girl, she brought some feathery looking little butterflies for show and tell. We used to have what they called show and tell. You'd have to show something and tell about it. And that's what she brought. And I, of course, wanted to touch them. I love butterflies. And she told me I killed them. And I knew they weren't alive because they had feathers for wings, for one thing. I said, I didn't kill them. They're not even alive. She goes, yeah, they were, and you killed them. And she was trying to make me upset for some reason. I don't know why. But people are like that sometimes. They just do things that upset you. Anyway, they came with these little stickers that you can stick on the back of them and stick them up. And I thought it'd be a real nice little thing. There's not many stickers. There's 48 butterflies, but there's just a few stickers. But anyway, I thought it'd be a nice thing since, you know, I'm just trying to promote that we're a reborn family. We're not just individual artists. I mean, we are individual artists, and we have our individual styles and techniques and taste and all that. But we are also a reborn family. And we should support each other and lift each other up and want to help each other and all that. And so as a visual means of solidarity, I thought it'd be nice if everybody decorated their table. Even if you don't record your videos, you can be part of the Reborn family because you have a butterfly. Butterfly is going to be our symbol for solidarity in our Reborn family. I just picked that. You don't have to participate if you don't want to, but if you want to, you can. I have 48 butterflies. I'll probably put 2 or 3 around my table somewhere where they'll show on camera. I think I remember seeing this swab thing on camera. So tell me if you can see my butterfly that I just stuck on there with that little round sticky thing. And then you can just lay them on your table, just any old place you want. And if you have a monarch butterfly on your table, it means you're part of the Reborn family. You've chosen to be part of the Reborn family. Of course, everybody's not going to do it, but those of you who see my videos and want to do it, and even want to invite other people to join the Reborn family, that's fine. We're going to call ourselves the Reborn family. And we stand behind each other, we promote each other, we like, subscribe, and share on each other. And, you know, just I can't get these little dots on my fingers. The static electricity's keeping them on there. But anyway, it's just something you can do. You don't have to do it. It's just an idea, you know. But anyway, butterflies were my favorite as a little child. And as an adult, I started actually liking dragonflies as well. But I like butterflies the best. And the monarch, I think, is the prettiest butterfly. I think it's so beautiful. I don't know if this is actually a monarch, but it sure looks like one to me. Another thing what I liked a whole lot when I was a little kid, and I had a lot of, I didn't ever get in trouble, but I had a lot of trouble controlling my hands because soft things, I wanted to touch them. Like, I don't know what era you were born in, but I was born in 1957, and in the 60s and then well, mostly the 60s. By the time the 70s came around, I was too old to do this, but I would just have this overwhelming urge if I saw a lady in a fur coat. Now, it didn't matter if it was a fur coat that was a real fur or a fake fur. I didn't even know the difference. I didn't even know that fur coats were made from animals, or I had no idea where it came from. I just knew it looked soft. And my urge was to reach out and stroke that fur coat. We'd be in an elevator or something. I'm talking little, like your mom's holding your hand. And I would reach out to touch that fur coat, and my mother would be trying to, push my hand back down, because you're not supposed to reach out and touch people like that. But my urges were so strong, I'd just wait till she wasn't looking, and I'd stroke that coat. And of course the lady would, I'm going to start on Paisley while we're talking, because I'm just wasting a lot of time if I don't. I'm going to be creasing her, and I'm going to be using a pencil. I ordered me some more pencils, by the way, from Jerry's Aroma, because this is the only henna pencil I have, and it's getting very, very short. But anyway, I'd reach out and I'd stroke that coat, and of course the lady would look around because she felt it. And she'd smile, and my mother would say, "Oh, I'm sorry. She just likes soft things." But my urge to stroke that coat was so strong, I remember it distinctly many times doing that. Because, well, I just like fur coats. I thought they were soft. And another thing that I couldn't sleep on, blankets, old-timey blankets. I don't know, I haven't really seen a blanket in a store for a long time. Walmart's the biggest store we have here. We don't have any department stores like, even bedding stores like Bed Bath & Beyond or anything like that. We don't have those kind of stores. We have to go all the way to Memphis, which is like 50 or 60 miles away, to get to one like that. We shop at Walmart mostly. But blankets with ribbons at the top and the bottom, you hardly ever see those anymore. Nowadays, if you see one with a ribbon anywhere at all, it's a skinny little ribbon about that big, and it'll be only at the top. But before, back when I was a child, they had ribbons at the top and the bottom, and they were big, thick ribbons about that thick. And I just had to have a ribbon on my blanket. My mother would always make sure, after a long time of having a blanket, the ribbon starts to come off. Because, the stitches wear out, that's sewing it on, and it just starts to come off. And then my mother would take it the rest of the way off, because there's this big long piece of ribbon just flowing down from the blanket. But I just almost have a fit if I didn't have a blanket with a ribbon on it. And so my mother always made sure my blanket had a ribbon on it. We always, us kids, there was 4 girls, 1 boy. And when we lived in Chicago, that's when I was little, I lived in Chicago. And when we lived in Chicago, I was rather small, and I was the second oldest. So my brother, who was the youngest, was very small. He still slept in a baby bed. And we, us girls, 2 to a bed, slept in twin-size beds. Yeah, me and my sister in a twin bed. And so the blanket on my bed had to have a ribbon, or I couldn't go to sleep. I'd cry and I'd fuss, and rather than go through all that, my mother just made sure I had a ribbon. And all the things we do as children. Oh, Paisley has such expressive hands. She's got all these little creases and crevices you can enhance. You don't have to enhance all of them. It is a lot, but I think it's cute. I enhance as many as I can, because all of them don't last, and I usually don't go back and recrease unless, like, if all of them washed off her hands, yeah, I would. I'd go back and I'd recrease. But I usually don't, because this crease or that crease is gone. I don't usually do that. I just take the ones that come, and the rest of them I just, okay, they didn't make it. But anyway, all the things we remember from our childhood, huh? Today I was thinking about those two things because, well, I got butterflies. So after I got the butterflies, I started thinking about how much I love butterflies. I always wanted to catch one, but my mother always told me, don't catch the butterflies, it harms them. And I was going, how could it possibly harm them? I'm not going to hurt them. You know, they'd land on a flower and you go up real slow and you could catch them by the wings like that and then just let them go. And my mother said, don't do that. They have something on their wings. And I found out later she was right. They have something on their wings that protects them. And if you touch them, it rubs off and it makes their life shorter. And I didn't want to do that. I love butterflies. So I stopped catching them. And, but I always loved the different colors and things of butterflies that you could see out in nature. I really loved it when I saw a monarch, though. You'd see yellow ones and blue ones and, you know, just all different kinds. But the monarchs was my favorite, always, because they're so beautifully colored. And one time, this is when I was adult, though. I was an adult when this happened now. We went to this place on vacation called the Butterfly Place. I don't know if you've ever seen one. We saw one in two different places that we went on vacation before. And one time we visited it and one time we didn't. But they have like a, oh, it looks like a greenhouse kind of, only it's got lots and lots of things in it that butterflies are attracted to. Different flowers and things that they love. And then inside, they order cocoons of different kinds of butterflies from all over the world. And it's real steamy warm in that little room because I guess they're growing tropical plants and the butterflies need a certain moisture level or something. It's steamy and moist and very warm in there. And there are just tons of butterflies. You can stay in there hours and just see all these different species of butterflies. Oh man, I had such a good time there. Everybody else was going, okay, we saw the butterflies, let's go now. And I was going, no, I haven't seen all of them. But you have to, as you're leaving, you have to go into this room that's like a vestibule kind of at Walmart when you go in, you know. It's designed so a butterfly won't come out with you. You have to kind of be in this little airlock room. I don't know what you call it really, but it's just a extra little room between the butterfly habitat room and the lobby, I guess, where you leave. So you're not taking a butterfly with you or just letting it out. And you'd have to go in there and sort of, they're supposed to kind of examine yourself, look in the mirror and see if any butterflies are on you. Because if you know, butterflies will land on you sometimes. I have had it happen to me multiple times. If you're wearing really, really colorful clothes, they'll land on you sometimes, especially if you're being still. But they won't stay long because they quickly realize you're not a flower, you know. They're coming for the nectar. And the colors of the flowers is what attracts them. And so they would just get on your clothes sometimes. And so they didn't want that to happen because, you know, they order these cocoons and then they hatch them out. I'm sure every one doesn't hatch, but they order them as cocoons so that there's no way they're going to die on the way, you know. There's nothing going to happen because in the cocoon, they don't eat or drink or anything. They just are hibernating and changing. So by the time they get there, they're probably almost ready to hatch out. Well, they don't hatch. They've already hatched. They were eggs and they hatched and they were caterpillars. And then they you know, lock themselves in that little cocoon and they change into a butterfly. Yeah, life cycle of a butterfly. Anyway, they would order those cocoons and they would come and they, I guess, just put them in that butterfly habitat and they just hatch out. But you know, butterflies don't live very long, so they're having to constantly order more butterflies. So the last thing they need to do is lose one on somebody's clothes. So, yeah, that's what you were supposed to do in that little vestibule area was, you know, make sure you didn't have a butterfly on you. Anyway, I loved going there because I love butterflies. That's a cute hand. I think that's a cute hand. And there's the back of her hand. Yeah, it looks like pencil right now. Maybe on camera it doesn't, but right in person it just looks like somebody took your kit and drew on it with a pencil. I'm going to just tell you before you do it, it's going to look like that. But as you're reborn your doll, it's going to change. That it will be less pencily. It will look more like a shadowy crease like it's supposed to. And you'll like it much, much better. So now she has expressive looking feet too. You can really, really highlight those feet. So here we go. We're going to highlight. So I'm going to sharpen this pencil first. I laid out a swab to smudge the creases, but I'm finding I'm not needing to. She has fabulous creases. When it looks too pencily, I smudge it a bit with a Q-tip. You just rub it across there, not too hard. You'll rub it right off, but you know, you rub it some, and it will lessen. If you got it a little too dark or something, it'll lessen that, and it'll smudge it to the point where it looks more like a crease. All we're trying to do is make a definition in these little cracks and crevices. Between the toes and the fingers is an important place to crease, I think. Now you get to pick where you want to crease, or if you even want to crease at all. This step is absolutely optional, but I think it's important because it brings more reality to, you know, realism to your baby. What we're trying to do is make the illusion that this baby is something more than just vinyl, that it is actually a baby. Of course, it's never going to be a baby. We need to wrap our heads around that right away. Some people just have too much of an illusion, I think. It's really never going to be a baby, but we want as much realism as we can get, but it only goes to a certain point, and then, sorry guys, the reality is it's still a doll, and people become dissatisfied and they want to strip their kits over and over and over again. I'm advocating for no stripping of kits. Love your baby like it is. First of all, in order to do that, you have to wrap your head around the idea that they are a doll. I'm not going to make it look like completely like a baby because it's not a baby. But I can get as much realism as I can, and that's it. And we do the best job we can, and then we love our baby the way it is. I've seen people who made plenty fine, nice looking, not exquisite. I'm not going to say they were exquisite, but they look good. These babies look good. And they said, oh, I'm going to strip it. I don't like it. Okay. What's wrong with it? That's what I'm thinking. She's got a little hair stuck to her. Most of the time it doesn't matter, but this one's not coming off. I can't grab it because there it goes. Okay. I couldn't grab it because I've clipped my nails down so short. I can't grab anything like that you need to clip between your nails, you know. And it wasn't coming off because I couldn't grab it. And so I was trying to just rake it off with a toothpick. Sometimes that works. And then all of a sudden it popped up a little bit on the end and I could grab it. But anyway, back to realism in our dolls. There's a certain amount of realism you can achieve, and there's some things you're never going to achieve. You're never going to make them look fully and completely like a real baby, no matter how hard you try. They still have that frozen face look, which means they're not making any facial expressions or they're not moving at all, so they do look a little stiff. They're going to look stiff like a doll because they are a doll. I mean, it's reality. And when people lose sight of that reality, they become disillusioned with their dolls. and they think, oh, it's not good, and when it really is good. And we're our own worst critics. I've noticed that one time, many times. People's going, oh, I don't know. And I'm going, it looks fantastic. What are you talking about? You don't know. And anyway, that is an important thing to remember when you're reborning a doll. That no matter what you do, it is a doll. Was that my phone? I don't know. I heard a message sound. Oh, I guess it was. Okay. My bank account thing from the bank. But most people, they get their doll out and they're looking at it, and they're getting an idea in their head of what they think the doll should look like. And of course it's going to be a real baby look. And nobody wants to think, oh, I'm just making a plastic doll and it's going to look like a plastic doll. Nobody wants that thought in their head. So it's like you get this idea in your head, and then you set out to establish that particular idea. I'm smudging these because they're superficial and they look super, very, very pencil-y. And I just don't want them to. Oh, I forgot to do these higher ones. It's just like when I'm cooking. I'm going to cook a dish. It doesn't matter what it is. But, you have this idea in your head how that dish is going to taste. Oh, I love that dish and blah, blah, blah. It's going to be like this or this or this. I don't measure. So from one time making to another time making, I don't really go by recipes. The recipe is in my head. And I just put the stuff together, like homemade soup, for example. You can make homemade soup. You just dump a bunch of things in a pot and you cook it. You don't really measure. I need this exact amount of meat and this exact amount of vegetables, this exact amount of parsley. You don't do that. You just dump things in there. And I mean, I don't do it. Some people do. But from one time to the next, it can taste a little bit different because, well, different amounts went in. But anyway, I get this idea in my head, oh, it's supposed to taste like this. And then when it's finished and it doesn't taste exactly. Now, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying it didn't taste like what my brain was telling me it was going to taste like. I think it's bad. My sister will be going, what are you talking about? This is delicious. I'm going, I fell short some kind of way. She's going, no, you didn't. And it's the same thing with painting. We get this idea in our head that, say we're going to paint a tree on a canvas, and you're going, okay, it's going to be big and leafy and just like a grand oak tree standing there or something. And then you start painting, and it's not as grand as you wanted it to be. You're finding it hard to make the leaves look real. And all of a sudden, you're going, it's horrible. I'm just going to throw it out. And another person will look at it and go, wow, you made a tree. It looks awesome. And you're going, no, it's not. That's because you had this different expectation in your head. That's one of the things that cause us to judge ourselves harshly, I think. We get that vision and we think we didn't achieve that particular vision. It must be bad. And it's just not true. So, I mean, I do it too myself. I'm guilty of the same thing. But what we need to do is not have so tight of a vision in our head. Because when we don't achieve that vision, we think, oh no, it's bad. And that makes us our own worst critic right there. Other people aren't thinking that. They don't have that vision in their head. They're just seeing your result. They're going, oh, that's so cute, And we're going, oh, it's so bad. It's just a thing. Anyway, I hope you're enjoying watching me crease Paisley. It's quite boring to crease. You're just kind of just tracing every little line that you want traced. And the amount of lines you want traced is strictly a preference. You don't have to do any. And for sure, if something is that you don't like, oh, that looks funny, don't crease that. Creasing brings it out more, makes it show more, makes it vivid and pop out. And if you don't want it that, like he's going, that crease is funny looking. It's misplaced, or it's too deep, or it's just in a I don't know, an awkward shape or whatever it is you don't like about it. If you don't like it, don't enhance it. That's the best way to make your creases the way you want, is just do the ones you like. The reason I do so many is because, like I said, I don't usually go back and recrease. Now, if there was a real important area, to me it's the hands and the feet themselves, not these up high. If all the creases, let's say I painted the bottom of her foot and all the creases were gone, I wouldn't like that. So I would recrease that. But if let's say this crease in the back of her knee goes away, I ain't recreasing that. I don't really care if she has that or not. I just do it. But I don't usually crease the face. She has an expressive looking face. And, you know, she has this little, I'm going to point with the toothpick so I don't make any stray marks on her with the pencil. She has this little crease going across her nose right here. Now, if you enhance that crease, she's going to look angrier. And the same thing with these going under her eyes. Enhancing these in certain ways can be beneficial, but in other ways, they just make a angrier looking baby. And then she's got these little jowls coming down, if you see what I'm talking about. There's potential in her face, but the wrong kind of enhancements on her face can make her look like a totally, completely different baby. That's why sometimes you'll be looking through, I don't know if you do it, I do it. I look through sites where people are selling dolls, Etsy and eBay and Mercari and Facebook Marketplace. I don't just scroll them constantly, but from time to time I'll look through them because I want to see what people have posted. I want to see what they are selling their dolls for. I want to see what the dolls are looking like. I'm comparing my prices and the way my dolls look to the prices online and the way they look. And sometimes you'll see the same sculpt, you know, painted by two different artists. And one, they look drastically different. You're going, that can't be Paisley like that. There's no way that's Paisley. And then another one, you're going, ooh, that's Paisley, you know, because you can recognize it. Sometimes the artistry, I don't want to make anybody feel like I'm their judge because I'm not. But sometimes the artistry is not all that good. They don't put hardly anything into the doll to keep it from looking very pale and very flat. They do put a color on the doll, and it's only very slightly different from the flange down here. If you could see the flange, you'd know. I've actually seen people holding their doll up on a doll group and going, what do you think she needs? And I almost want to, I have to stop myself because I want to go in there and say, she needs to be painted because they don't look like they have any paint on them at all. And they're like calling themselves, I think I'm done. And it just looks the same. Very, very slight paint. Anyway, we're going to get started on some more of Paisley's enhancements. Now, there is absolutely nothing that can be done with these arms and legs except the nails until it bakes. Because believe it or not, baking will actually make your pencil permanent too. If I was to paint over the top of this pencil though, there's a good chance it would come off. So we're going to be working on her head, because on her head I didn't put any pencil. That doesn't mean I won't, it just means I didn't. So another thing we can do with a pencil right now is vein. I vein with a pencil. It's aquamarine. I've done many times veining with paintbrushes, with paint. And if you get it dark enough to show after you've put paint on it, it's way too dark. It's just, I don't find it good. But I'm going to pencil veins on Paisley. And you will be able to see them when I first put them on. But then I'm going to get this nice little sponge, and I'm going to get one of these harder sponges, these dense, foamier ones. They're real dense and hard, because the softer ones crumble if you're rubbing your doll to minimize the veins. It's going to start crumbling off on your doll. So these don't do that. So anyway, so I'm going to put some veins on her face. Not on her actual face, but on her head. One will come down onto her forehead. And you can put them on the temples. You can literally put them anywhere you want. Because I root hair on the head, I don't vein the head because they don't show. They never show. And so I don't like to do work that doesn't play through to the end. So I'm going to be putting a, a, a branchy vein right on her forehead / temples. Let's call it that. Now, veins are supposed to be snaky and rivery looking. If you ever see a river on a real map, it's squiggly. Kind of squiggly. Now, it can be even more squiggly than that. You can make it actually like that. Or don't make just like that. That's unrealistic. You know, some of the things we can do to our dolls to try to get realism is actually making them less real. So we need to be very careful about what we're putting on our dolls. Now, when you're making a vein, you can make it as elaborate as you want to. A vein can just be a squiggly line. It can be long, short, super squiggly, little squiggly, just as long as it's squiggly. You can also make one. I'm just freehanding this to show that veins can have branches on them too, almost like a tree. Turn it this way, it almost looks like a tree branch. So you can have branches on your veins. Now, the length, the squiggliness, the number of branches or no branches at all, these are all preferences. You pick. You pick where you want to put them, how you want to draw them. Now, to draw a vein, I use a kind of dull pencil. Oh, crap, that scared me. Scared me. I use a dull pencil because, okay, thank you for letting me know. You don't want a super sharp pencil. You notice me sharpening my pencil for creasing because you need a point to be able to get into the crease and make the pencil stay in the crease. You don't want it bouncing out of the crease and making lines all over the actual skin part of the doll. So see, a sharp pencil makes a much skinnier line than a dull pencil. So this is too skinny. That's about right. Now, your pencil can get very, very much more dull than this, and that's fine. If you want to sharpen it, you can do that. If you don't, you don't have to. But veins are not supposed to be that skinny. Now, you don't want them just super, super fat. Now, largely the color, well, I picked aquamarine because, you know, the vein blue is sort of a teal color, and this to me is sort of a teal color. It's about the same. But I originally went with turquoise, but it was too dark. Now, I can make this color, the color was too dark. I can make the line darker or lighter on her by how hard I press down. And it also will make it fatter or skinnier. But because I have a very dull tip, I don't need to press down hard to get a fat line. And dark lines are going to be harder to minimize. What we want is the illusion of a vein. We don't want some big popping out fat thing that looks like she's got a Frankenstein vein up on her forehead. If you ever saw Frankenstein, he had all these veins popping up out of his skin. And of course they were green, but okay. But we don't want that. We want it to look like it's actually under the skin. See, here's my veins on my hand. You can see the blue. I know you can see it. I have splotchy skin, but still. But it's under the skin. You see it, but you don't see it like if I took a blue ink pen and drew on top of my hand. You wouldn't see it like that. So we don't want that on our baby either. So I'm going to start way up here where the hair is going to be because I want to get my squiggle the way I want it before I get down where it's going to actually show. Squiggling is very important to me. And I don't want too much squiggle, but I don't want too little squiggle either. I want it to look kind of realistic, but I want it to look kind of normal also. You know, too much squiggle is going to just be weird, and not enough squiggle is going to be also weird. But anyway, if you've ever seen a baby, if they're in the hospital and say they need an IV, it's hard to find a vein on a baby because they're so tiny. So a lot of times they don't put IVs in their arms or their legs. They'll put it up here on their head. That's just something they do. because the vein, there's a big vein right there. And a lot of times you can see it if when your baby's crying or they're mad or something, it shows more. It's like it becomes more prominent. And you can see that vein. And that's the illusion we're looking for, that there's a vein on their forehead and you can see it just a little bit. So anyway, here we go. I'm just going to start a squiggle, and I'm going to come down on her face like that. Right on her face. Don't be scared to do it. I didn't press down very hard. And now I'm going to give her a little branch off of it over here to this side. I'm trying to make one vein spread out as much as I want it to, so I'm not making veins all over her. So now you can put more branches on your vein if you want to. You do not have to. So now that I've got it on her face, see, you can see it. We're not supposed to see it on camera. The accepted rule is, on a camera picture or a video, if you see it at all, it should be very, 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 very faint. In fact, you shouldn't even be able to see it at all. So I'm going to brush across it with this sponge, and I'm going to minimize it. You really want to make the edges where you started and stopped almost disappear. The vein should come up a little. See how in your arms, in your hands and stuff, there's a point where you can't see the vein anymore. And that's what we're trying to do with Paisley. We want to make the vein show, but we don't want it to be so obvious that it looks like she's got this big thing on her forehead. I mean, that looks very good to me. You probably will not be able to see it now, and that's the way it's supposed to be. If you see it at all, it's very, very, very light. Now, some people make their veins very dark. Once paint is over this, you're going to see that blue showing, but it won't look like I said, a Frankenstein vein or something. So now, that is the vein I'm giving her on her head. The only one. I'm not going to just vein her all up. It just looks ugly to me. You don't see that many veins on a baby. Now, on the arms and legs, you can vein or not to vein. To crease or not to crease. Those are questions you have to answer yourself. One of the most common places on a baby's arm to see a vein is going to be right here where you see it on you, and right here where you see it on you. You're going to see those veins. And you'll see it on the baby too. And I don't do elaborate here. You can do it all the way up into the hand and make them go all the way up here to the fingers, like they're feeding the fingers a smaller vein or something. I don't do that elaborate, but I do want I'm keeping Paisley, but anyway, whoever buys the doll I'm making at the moment, to be able to actually see a vein, but I don't necessarily want them to see anything super elaborate. To me, that's a good vein, and it will show, and they will see it. Will every vein you make show? Probably not. Now, on the inside of the hand, I also do the same thing. I just put a squiggle like that, because like I said, I don't want every vein to be some big popping out blue thing on my doll. Their enhancements are undertones mostly. A few of them are not, but most of these are considered to be undertones, meaning they're under the skin. So they shouldn't show like they're on top of the skin. These are just suggestions. You can vein any way you want to, but this is how I vein, because it's what I like. We all do what we think is the right choice. Now, on the legs, it's the ankles, I think. That's where I vein. Some people vein on top of the foot. Some people even vein on the bottom of the foot. And some people actually pull out anatomy charts and go, oh, there's a certain vein right here. I mean, you can do that if you want to. You can vein anywhere on there you want to. I vein on the ankles because it looks more natural to me. I just go by what I think would look good on a doll. I certainly have never taken an anatomy course, so I don't know where they really belong. I just know that when I've ever seen babies, where did I see the veins, And nobody's going, on a real baby looking for veins, but you just see them sometimes. And so that's what I do. You can make these very elaborate with lots of branches. I usually make Y shapes or upside down Y shapes, and that's as elaborate as I usually get. Sometimes I do get a little more elaborate than that, but not usually. And then there's another kind of veining you can do called capillaries. Now, capillaries are usually red. For capillaries, I use Crimson Lake. This looks like a very dark pencil, but if you look at the point, it's not as dark as the pencil color. It's this sprayed on color, I guess. I don't know how they color these pencils. It's supposed to represent the color, but it's not nearly that dark. But capillaries also can be pretty much anywhere on a doll. Anywhere. But a lot of the common places are on the face. I don't like to capillary, and I'm not going to capillary. They'll put them here on the temples, sometimes the cheeks, the upper lip, the eyelids. I've seen people put them in multitudes of places. To make a capillary, all you do is make a super, super tiny and extremely squiggly line. You can't even, on this paper towel, you can't even see that line squiggles. And you can also, again, make these as elaborate as you want to, or as unelaborate as you want to. They're just tiny, tiny little squiggly lines, and you definitely want to brush them with your sponge. I don't capillary. I did at one time, and I stopped. One more thing I'm going to do with a pencil, because, well, I don't root eyebrows. Eyebrows to me can be very ugly, or they can be soft and gentle. I saw a lady who made a doll. It was supposed to be Moana from that movie, that Disney movie. Anyway, her eyebrows were probably that thick. They were super dark, almost black. And they were just scary looking. Now, to me, if you really look at a baby, you'll see some little hairs. But they're so fine and so tiny and so unnoticeable. If they get eyebrows, they should, to me, this is my opinion, and yours may be different, and that's fine. If they get eyebrows, it's important to put them in the correct place and make them the correct size. Some people do these little individual, I'm going to do it with this red pencil because you can see it better. These little individual, let's say this is the eye, individual little eyebrows that stick all up like this. I think it's too elaborate and too big, and they usually make them really, really dark. I just don't like them. So what I do is I make a soft little line, and look how dull this pencil is. As long as it has a point, that's all you need. But I use a very light color. This is sandbar brown. It's one of the colors you'd use if you was making blonde hair or sandy brown hair or whatever. And then you need to identify the brow ridge. If you're having trouble doing that, go look in the mirror. If you feel on your forehead, your brow ridge is that bone that you can feel that's right above your eye socket. And your eyebrow is actually not on the brow ridge. It's directly above it. So like this is Paisley's brow ridge right here. You can see she has a pronounced one. It's this little bony looking thing right here. So her eyebrow would be slightly above that, just slightly. The bottom part of the eyebrow is almost touching the brow ridge. So if you're having trouble putting eyebrows on, I find that things with dolls, because they have two sides to their face, and you're either right-handed or you're left-handed. One side's going to be easy to do, and the other side is awkward. That's putting in eyes, rooting eyelashes, drawing on eyebrows or rooting eyebrows. It's all that stuff that you do to one side, and then you have to copy it on the other side and make it symmetrical. So what I do is I'll just freehand a nice little wispy eyebrow on one side that I like. And if I don't like it, I'm just going to wipe it off. Before this is baked, it's very removable. And if you don't like it, just remove it. Now that is barely visible, I know. It's right here, and it's barely visible. Now, because she has a very pronounced brow ridge, it's possible I could put an identical eyebrow on this side, freehanding it like that. But if you're having a lot of trouble doing it to make it match, try turning the head upside down. It's a different perspective, and it allows you to follow this curvature and everything a little closer. A lot of times I don't even get the eyebrows symmetrical because, like I said, it's a little bit harder to do the second eyebrow. So, I don't know. A lot of things about babies is asymmetrical anyway. And sometimes you can see it in the kit. There's my eyebrows. Sometimes you can see in the kit that on one side of their face or legs, one leg will have lots of creases while the other one doesn't hardly have any, or anything like that. So how you want to do your eyebrows is totally and completely up to you. This is how I'm doing it. Also, if you're going to root eyebrows, this sort of gives you a starting point where if you root on top of that, it's not going to show, probably. And these will be very light. Everything gets lighter when it bakes. So these will be very light. So we don't have to worry that they're going to be too dark or scary looking or make the baby look grouchy or any of that stuff. They're just very mild, little light eyebrows. This one's a little too dark. I like them light. I just do. I don't know. That's my preference. Now, there is a few other things we can do to Paisley's face, but before I do them, I have to grab something to drink. My throat is like sandpaper. Y'all just give me 1 minute. I'll just be on the other side of the kitchen getting a drink. Door. Do y'all ever have this notion in your head? It seems like it to me. One problem will happen and then all of a sudden it's snowballing and you have 10 problems. It's like when it rains, it pours. And I've been having a rash of problems. About a week ago, the management company from this apartment complex I live in messaged me and said I didn't pay my rent. I did. I paid my rent. Early, actually. It wasn't just on time, it was early. And then all of a sudden, we had other problems too. The cat ran away, my dog got injured, all kind of things were happening. Just boom, 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 boom. And I just felt like these huge weights were on my shoulder. Well, a lot of those problems resolved themselves. And I thought, phew, finally. Now we're having a problem. The dryer won't heat up anymore. My son's coming to look at it. It probably needs a heating element he can put it in. And he said $30 or $40. That takes a load off my mind. That's going to be inexpensive, but once again, problems. Also, now the refrigerator door sounds like it's half off the hinges or something. It squeaks so loud. Ooh, I'm running out of this paint. I remember way back when I mixed this paint. Genesis was still heavy in production. I've been using it that long. This is how long this lip color. I mixed this special for lips and nails. It is simply just thinning medium with color in it. They sell thinning medium in jars this little, but I buy it in a jar this big now because I use so much of it. But at the time, I had a little jar like this already, but it's full to the top when you open it. You can't get any color in there, or all the thinning medium's going to come flowing out the top. So I just dumped a little bit of it out into another container so I could get the color in there. And I made a full jar of this lip color with Genesis paint. This I didn't have to tweak or anything because it's just the right color. And I've been using it ever since. And I even took some of it out and put it in this little container to make my scratch medium. When you want to put a baby scratch on your doll, you need thick medium. So I put a lot of thick medium in there because, well, I was going to put some thinning medium in there too because you can't separate the color from the thinning medium. So then I took some of this out and put it in there. So I've been using and using and using this for way more than a year, way more than that, maybe 2 years, and it's to half now. So this method of, you think, oh, that's probably not good to do. Well, it's great. You have your color already down. You don't have to mix it every single time. I'm not a mixer, really. Yes, you have to mix the paint with your additives, but I'm talking about mixing colors. Okay, I'm doing her lips. And what we want to do here is we want to be extremely slow and careful doing this. There is a lip line. It's barely visible. And it's more visible right now than it ever will be again. And our goal here is not to get her lips exactly right in one go. It's to just put paint on her lips. And that's what we're doing. We have plenty of time to get the lips to the color that we want. Right now, we just are defining the lip line pretty much. Some people actually trace the lip line with a pencil. I ain't doing all that. I mean, it's an option if you want to do it. I don't want to do it, so I'm not. But I paint the lips a very, very super light coat of the color that they're going to be when they're finished. No, you don't want pink. I know that looks pink to you, but it's not real pink. Pink is a combination of red and white, and it looks like Barbie. This is light red, really, and there is a difference. This is a bloody red. Look how dark that is. It's almost like blood color. That's the color we want to put on our lips. It doesn't really make the lips. I mean, if you put enough of it on there, it would, but not in one go. It's not going to make them bloody red. They're going to be pinkish looking, but not the same pink. Not the same pink if you mix pink. So we're just putting this very, 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 very thin coat on there. We're trying for the thinnest we can get on there and still have color on her lips. I find that super thin coatings for the lips and the nails work the best. You don't have that harsh, stainy looking, uneven, blotchy looking stuff. It's smooth, it's pretty, and it comes out super, super good. And like I said, there's just plenty of time to get them right, the right color. All we're doing now is putting paint on her lips. Keep this thought in mind always when you're painting your dolls. Paint sticks to paint. Even if this color lightened up so much that we couldn't even see color at all, it's perfectly fine, because guess what? The paint is still there. And it's an absolute fact, paint sticks to paint. If you've ever painted anything, you know that the second coat of paint takes way better than that first coat did. And that's because it's sticking to the paint. Man, her lips are hard to define. I don't see well either. I have cataracts, so seeing the lip line is difficult. So I'm taking my own sweet little time here to get this right. You don't want to get this. This is your very first coat. It's the one that needs to be the most perfect, because it's going to sort of be your guide as you're putting the other coats on. And you don't want to miss your guide. You don't want it to be wrong. When you've missed the lips, it doesn't show at first, but then later you're going, oh my, look at that. It looks wrong. And that's why I tell people, no matter how funny you think the lips look, follow that lip line to the letter, because later you will be sorry if you don't. Some people try to go out of the lip line to give the baby fuller lips. It's like, I don't know if you've ever seen it. I used to see it all the time. It was a trend. Back in the day, older ladies put on their makeup way different than people put it on now. Uh, I'm the older lady now, and I would never put makeup. I don't even wear makeup, but if I did, I would never put on makeup like that. They'd just take their lipstick and they just make their lips what they wanted them to be. If they were outside the lip line, fine. They didn't care. And it looked so ugly. But it was a trend and everybody did it. So, evidently, nobody thought anything about it. I didn't think it looked attractive. I was even thinking, is this the look she was going for? You know? And also, they didn't put on blush, they put on rouge. Is anybody old enough to remember rouge? You'd be the same people that remember cream rinse instead of conditioner. It was called Tame Cream Rinse. My mother used to put it on our hair when we were little girls, and even when I was grown up, they still had it, and I still used it for a while. And then it was becoming the oh so important trend to use conditioner instead. And I was thinking, oh, it's so thick and globby. You know, cream rinse was just very thin. It still took the tangles out of your hair and tamed your hair down a little bit, but it was thin, and you just rinse it through your hair, put it on your hair and rinse it out, and you're done. And I was thinking, oh my goodness, we're going to put this globby, slimy, greasy stuff on our hair now? I don't know. When I first started using conditioner, I'd take a big plastic glass, like, you know, one of those that you get a Coke in at McDonald's. It wouldn't be that one, but, you know, something like that. And I'd fill it with water and put my conditioner in there and kind of dissolve it in there and make it runnier. Because I was thinking cream rinse still, you know. And anyway, I'm going to put some of this inside of her nose because that's another place where we have to build color. Now, you don't want a big glob in there. You want enough to swirl around and put some color in there. That's all we're trying to do right now, is put some color in there. It's also going to look kind of pinky. You may or may not be able to see it on camera. I don't know exactly the right way to tilt her head for you to be able to see inside of her nose. We don't want to give her the look of having a bloody nose. So I'm going to take a swab and sort of dabble around in there a little bit and get some of the excess out, because we don't want it to, like I said, to look like her nose is bleeding. We just want color in there. That's all we really want right now. So this is step 1 on her enhancements. Sometimes they get 3 steps, and sometimes we can complete it in 2. Depends on what we're doing to each individual doll, how it looks when it comes out of the oven. The proof is in the pudding, so to speak. You only know if you like it, really. I mean, we're doing it, and I know pretty much how it's going to turn out because I've just done so many dolls. Now, if you haven't done any dolls before, I actually recommend you don't follow what I'm doing until you see what it looks like when it comes out of the oven. I always recommend that people watch the entire series before they start, if you're going to follow it. I do a lot of follow-alongs where I show absolutely everything and explain absolutely everything. Like sometimes when I'm painting and I'm not doing a follow-along, I'll go, yeah, I'm going to put 2 coats of one color. I'll do one on camera and I'll do one off camera. But when I'm doing a follow-along, I always do everything on camera. And I say, don't blindly follow me. You might not like it. You might not like the colors I'm using. You might not like the techniques I'm showing you. A lot of things about art are subjective. You may or may not like them. Okay, that's her lips and inside her nose. We're going to do her nails now. And once again, we're going to put an extremely thin coat on her nails, being very careful to stay within the nail beds. What we're trying to avoid here is any pooling of any of this dark, thick paint. And where it's going to pool is right around the base of the nails. It's going to look like you outlined the nails with a darker color. Anyway, here we go. I try to explain in my videos, but it just gets so boring for the people who follow every single video. They're going, oh yeah, she's telling about how to do the nails again. You know, we already heard that. I want to get some fresher material, but right now I don't have any. I've told y'all everything I do, and how I do it, and we're just doing it. We're practicing it. And a lot of people listen for my stories. I tell stories about my childhood and my family and just little things that I've learned along the way about raising kids and crap, you know, meals I cooked. And people like to hear that stuff. They tell me all the time, I love your stories. So I think some people listen for the stories. One person actually messaged me and she said, I was just scrolling through YouTube and came across your video. I don't even make dolls, but you kept me entertained all morning. I said, okay, thank you. She was looking at it and she liked my stories too. I don't always in every single video tell a story because, like I said, some of them have been told already. And you just forget you already told it, and then all of a sudden you've told it again, and people are going, yeah, I've heard that story, you know. And I try to keep my videos fresh. People don't seem to always want to go back and watch the older videos. And sometimes I don't want them to. Like, when I first started making videos, I was doing some things that I don't do anymore. And I wouldn't want anybody to do them now because I have updated, newer techniques that work better. So, yeah, that's what I do. And so I erased them. And then another artist told me you shouldn't erase your videos because it shows longevity of your channel and it shows progress you've made throughout the time that you've been making dolls, how you've improved your... It's like a video journal, she said. It's like you're keeping a journal of your daily activities as a painter. Now look at those nails. They're super light. They may not even show whenever she comes out of the oven. And I'm good with that. But I erase them because I don't really... I record with my tablet. And I haven't found any way to actually keep the videos at this time. I haven't found anything like that. I know you can get like an SD card or something, some kind of memory card and put in there, but I don't even know what size to get. I'm not very tech savvy. I barely can record. I can't even edit a video. Whatever I record, that's what you're going to see because I don't know how to edit. And I don't know. It's hard for me. Technology. I remember being young and you know, there wasn't so much technology as there is now, but yet technology was growing. And I remember older people like my mother and my aunts and my grandparents and stuff, they couldn't keep up with the technology. They were going, I don't know how to use that. And I'd show them and they'd go, I can't do that. And I'd be going, it's just simple. You just push this button and, you know, and they're going, no, you can't do it. And I thought, how can you not do it? I just told you how to do it. You know, I was thinking it. I didn't say it to them. But it was like, I don't think I'm ever going to be like that where I can't handle the technology. As your life changes and technology changes, you're supposed to change with it and learn it. And that's was my thoughts. Well, technology's advancing by leaps and bounds. And guess what? Karen didn't do. She didn't keep up. And now I'm the one going, I can't do that. No, don't show me that. I don't want to learn that. Something stuck to her finger. Sometimes when you're sealing your doll, something gets stuck in the sealer. I'm very careful to not have that happen, but even so, a little corner, it would just be the tippity little end of a hair or a piece of polyfill or something, is stuck down in the sealer. And if you can grab it, you can pull it out sometimes. And I saw something that appeared to be a hair stuck to her finger, and I was afraid it was in the sealer, but it wasn't because it just came off too easy. But we have to be really careful sealing our dolls that we don't get things down in the sealer. Now the toenails, same diff here. Anyway, so I didn't keep up with technology, and now it's like I can't even edit a video. I've tried and tried. I've even made practice videos just to edit them, and I'm going, well, that didn't work out. You know, I can't snip them or anything. I just don't know what to do. I'm going, well, that didn't snip the part I wanted out. It snipped everything else out, you know, like that. And I'm just bad at it. And by trying to do different things, I've actually lost videos. I accidentally do something to them and they're gone. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. But I was trying to do something different. If you've watched any of Dominic's videos, you'll notice the videos are very bad. I was wanting to be able to pause my video. Other people can do it. I've seen them go, I'm going to pause and be right back. And I can't do that. My tablet will not pause. If you try to pause, it just stops the video completely, and you have to make a totally new video for the rest of it. Now, all I wanted to do was pause and restart, and I can't do it. And so I have a friend that makes videos, and she fast forwards. She she goes, we're gonna speed this part up. Zzz, it's just going fast. I don't know how to do that. And then it was like she pauses, she cuts parts out, she has little pop-ups that pop up on the screen. I can't do any of those things. I'd love to be able to do it, but I don't know how. And I'd like to have like sometimes I mention other artists, and I want to have maybe a link to their page pop up on the screen so you can see it. I can't do. I have to put it down in the description because I don't know how to do that. And that reminds me, I do have an artist I want to mention today, and I have to pull up her information because she is brand new. I mean, I don't know how long she's been watching my videos, but she actually introduced herself to me on my YouTube page. I mean, my Facebook Messenger, which is what I try to get. If you're going to do something other than comment about the doll, I always tell people, please go to my Facebook Messenger. Some things people want to keep private. Like, say you won one of my contests and you want to give me your address. I don't want you posting it on YouTube. Here's my address. It's private. So I say go to my Facebook Messenger to do that. And so anyway, she introduced herself to me on Facebook Messenger. I'm going to give you her information right now. She's a great artist. I went to her page. She posts on Facebook. And I went to her page and saw her beautiful dolls. And they're just amazing. And y'all need to give her I'm going to give her a shout out. And y'all need to go to her page and look at her dolls and stuff. And while you're there, follow her and like her pictures and stuff, and leave her some comments and stuff. We have to support each other. We're a Reborn family. Okay, her Facebook page is Daisy's Little Dreams. And she makes just amazing looking little dolls. I went and checked them out. They're just gorgeous. And I'm going to put her link down in the description. Now, when the video first goes up, it won't be there because the link is on my phone and the video's on my tablet. So until it loads, I don't know how to put the link in there. So excuse me if it's not there immediately, because sometimes I'm downloading and it's the middle of the night and it downloads in the middle of the night. And a lot of people say, some of them are in the UK and their time zones are different there, and they're watching videos while we're sleeping. So they're seeing it already before I even get a chance to post the link. So I wanted to say that because sometimes the link, I'll say the link's down in the description, but people will look and they'll say, I didn't see a link. I said, that's because I haven't put it down there yet. The video just loaded, But anyway, y'all give her your support, and we're all like I said, we're all in this together, and everybody deserves to get some recognition. So let's support her. And I did want to say, excuse me, my throat is incredibly dry. I did want to say there are 8 people that are participating in the contest. If you're not participating in the contest, you're missing out. It's very easy to participate, and there is a video that's called Let the Contest Begin. that explains the entire contest and how you can participate. There are 8 people, and the container with the little slips of paper. The slips, I just wadded up some paper so y'all could see how big the entries are. They're like this tiny. Because I only assigned everybody a number, so I wouldn't have to write a big long name like your page name or your channel name or your actual name. And some people don't want their name advertised, so okay, I didn't want to go, oh, this one says so-and-so person. I don't want to do that. I want to respect people's privacy. And some people don't care, and some people do care. So there's 8 people in the contest. The papers are this little, and my container is over half full. Y'all saw my container. It's a tall container, about this tall, that had little dishwasher tabs in it. Cascade. You know about how big that is. And that is a lot of entries. People are really, really doing things to get entries. And there are a huge amount of entries in there. And while I was going to draw the entries out online, here's what I'm thinking I'm going to run into. I've made 3 boxes, and I think I've said it in a video that everybody's participating so hard that I just feel bad that there's only one prize, because everybody's working so hard. Everybody is. So rather than sit there and go, okay, I drew out number 6, another number 6, another number, you can only win 1 box. And it's going to be a lot of repetitious drawing. It's going to take a while to draw 3 different numbers, I think, because there are so many entries in there and only 8 people. So I'm going to just do it offline. I'm just going to draw, and if it's the same number, I'll just throw it away and draw. If it's the same number, I'll throw it away, because I don't want one person to get all 3 boxes, or 2 of them even. And I want 3 different people. So I'm just going to draw probably early on March the 1st. Get up, draw the numbers, come online for my regular daily activities, and then I will announce the person who actually got the people who actually got the boxes. Now, the 3 boxes, no, they're not identical by any means. You can't, I just don't have 3 of everything, but they're virtually identical. Let's put it that way. One person, now these are just examples. I'm not saying any of these things are in the box, but one person might get a paintbrush like this, and another person might get a pair of scissors like this. I mean, you're getting things, But one thing that's in common in all 3 boxes is there's a kit and a body. And I believe that I did put eyes in there for the ones that had open eyes. I think one of them is closed-eyed and the other 2 are open-eyed. Like I said, I just went to the closet. My closet is a regular coat closet that normally people would have in their hallway or their living room. You know about the size of them. And I put a board across the bottom on the inside so the kits wouldn't just fall out. And then I just started putting the kits, piling them up in there. And they go all the way up to where the hanging rod is, and almost touch the hanging rod. That's how many kits I have. So me trying to find any sort of a particular kit would just be too hard. So I just reached in and pull, just took out 3 kits. And those are the 3 kits that are coming. Now, they might be artist. I didn't even pay attention, really. I just looked to see if they were open-eyed or closed-eyed. So they might be artist kits. They might be Reborns. They could have alternate limbs. They could be 3/4. They could be full limbs. They're just random. It's super, super random. And to me, a kit is a kit is a kit. You're getting it for free, and it's a doll you can make for yourself or to sell in your business or whatever. So there's that. And now, if you live in another country, I cannot mail you a box. So if I draw your number, you will get a gift certificate. I've found out that you can buy real nice gift certificates from Bountiful Baby, and they ship all over the world. And it's a virtual gift card. I just snap a screenshot of it and send it to you on your Facebook Messenger. Here's your gift card. You know, that easy. As a matter of fact, after this drawing, I think I'm gonna pretty much be out of stuff to put in boxes anyway, and I'm going to probably start just doing a gift certificate. Now, there is another thing that I wanted to tell y'all. I'm just debating on whether I should even say this on camera or not. But I just feel like I should. I like to have transparency. I don't want people to go, oh, I don't know how you'd find out, but there's a possibility you could. So, but anyway, it's not a secret or anything. It's just I don't like to air dirty laundry. But one person has pretty much disqualified themselves from the drawing. You know, there are certain ethical things you do in a contest and certain ethical things you don't do. And without going into too much detail, this person just went way out on a limb there and just started doing things that were unethical. And so, you know, when I confronted her about it, you know, I expected her to say, oh, I'm sorry, or something, you know. No, she didn't do that. I said something to her about it, and she came back with, she started sending me so many posts on my Facebook Messenger every 1 to 2 minutes for that whole day. I literally got a message from her. They were pictures of dolls she had, her plans to build a nursery in her house for her dolls, how she liked to dress her dolls, like just like we're just super pals, and this is the thing, our topic for the day, and like she, you know, like nothing had happened, and she was not addressing the issue at all, and it just really made me upset. Her callous attitude was the worst part, I think. So, you know, all I ever asked was that people be honest and straightforward and true. You know, don't say you watched videos if you didn't watch videos. Don't say you donated $1 if you didn't donate $1. You know, these things are ethical things, and there's many other ethical things that it's unspoken. You're just ethical. You know, many things. It's unspoken. You shouldn't have to say be ethical. You know. It was the honor system, you know. Anyway, long story short, she fully disqualified herself from the drawing. So if I draw her number, it will not count. So we're down to 7 people. So this is another reason I'm going to draw off camera. I may be drawing a lot of tickets that were hers, and I'm going, no. I'm just going to do it off camera. Anyway, the 3 people will be notified by Facebook Messenger that they won, and they will shortly after that get their boxes in the mail. One thing I have to do when I have a drawing is I have to wait until I actually have the money to mail boxes. I live from paycheck to paycheck. I live on Social Security. So if I didn't sell a doll, or I'm pretty tight on money, and so I have to wait. So you're going to get your box, and I try to make it as quickly as possible. But there's a possibility I'll send one out this 1 week and one out the next. Oh, just whenever I have the money, they'll go out. But anyway, long story short, that's what's happening with the contest right now. There are like I couldn't even hazard a guess, 300, 500 entries in there. I don't know. There are a lot. Let's put it that way. People are doing everything. They're donating dolls. You know, donating a doll gets you 10. And I've had 2 or 3 people donating dolls. I mean, people are really stepping up. This has been the best contest I've ever done. I've had a couple of contests where only 2 people entered or 3 people entered. One of them, all you had to do is say, hey, I'm a new artist and I want a box. And you were entered. That was it. That's all you had to do. And I didn't get that many people. This is probably the most active one, and it's had the most people, and it's also had the most participation. And it's great. It's wonderful to see people backing up each other. You know, I offered entries for lifting up another artist, for mentioning me on your page, for mentioning me in a social group, for a lot of different things. I wanted more publicity, and I wanted more viewers, more likes, comments, subscribes, all those things. I just wanted all that. And but I also wanted other artists to get recognized too. And who you want to recognize is just simply up to you. And I hope y'all can see my butterfly right here. And this one on the table. And don't forget, you can get your own butterfly. I'm going to call them Solidarity Butterflies. We are a solid family. We need to support each other. And if you're displaying your butterfly, it means you're part of the Reborn family. That's my little thing I just made up. You don't have to do it. It's voluntary. But you can do it if you want to. I'll send you a butterfly. All you have to do is go on my Facebook Messenger and say, hey, I want a butterfly. This is my address. And I'll send you a pretty little monarch butterfly that you can display somewhere on your camera when you're, or if you're taking a picture of, if you just post your babies and you're taking a picture, just stick it in a picture somewhere. Just down at the bottom or up at the top or in front of the something. I don't know. And other people can see it. It's going to be our symbol that that person is part of the Reborn family. And we're going to start lifting each other up. We're going to start helping each other out. We're going to give the tips and the praise that people need to hear. You know, we're going to do all that stuff because we're a family. Anyway, I've made this a long video. It's 1 hour and 21 minutes. It's probably going to take 17 hours to load. My internet's so slow it takes forever for a video to load. But anyway, please remember to like, subscribe, and share. And happy reborning.